Thank you for being here. When I saw that the bar opened at 4 o'clock, I was a little bit stressed about who was actually going to turn up, but maybe that's an English thing. My name's Alastair. I work for TransferWise. You might know us. I've been there about 2 years now. Prior to that, I worked for a company called Earthport, who also does international payments, and I was there for 10 years, but definitely no one's heard of them. I'm from Birmingham in the Midlands in England. I've lived in the south in London for about 10 years. My family's from the north, and my wife and extended family are American. I'm sorry there's no subtitles. I'll try and talk properly. We're going to start with a big number. So this is $1 billion, and I've counted the zeros. This is $1 billion that TransferWise has saved our customers in the last year in hidden bank fees that they would have otherwise paid if they'd got the same result from using a bank. So let that sink in for a minute. TransferWise is profitable and has been profitable for about 3 years now. And we have a very high Net Promoter Score, NPS score, for the services that we deliver. And we've done it $1 billion cheaper than if they'd used their bank. And we've been transparent about how we've priced. Now, we could have charged a bit more. We could have had some of this $1 billion as revenue. And I'm going to tell you why we haven't. This is Tavet and Christo. They're Estonian, they're from Tallinn, and they met at a party in London, and they started talking about how international payment system was broken. Now, I've been to a lot of parties over the years, and I've never spoke about international payments, so I'm obviously hanging around with the wrong people. Now, one of them had a mortgage in euros, and the other one had a mortgage in British pounds. And they were fed up with their bank taking a non-transparent fee in the exchange rate, in the spread. They were fed up with low levels of customer service, and they were fed up with how long it took for the money to actually arrive where they wanted it to arrive. So they swapped. They swapped their money. They found a rate on Google called mid-market, which, if you don't know, is the line in the sand between bid and ask. And it's exactly what that currency's worth without anybody taking any sneaky fees. So effectively what happened, there was a sterling to sterling payment and a euro to euro payment, and they suddenly realized that there must be millions of people and businesses that had the same problems that they had. So the idea for TransferWise was born. Now, I worked in the city when this happened. I saw TransferWise born from the outside, and I saw these crazy stunts. They actually came past the office that I was working at the time, and I was like, what is this? Some of these people are actors, and some of them are actually staff. I'll leave it to you to decide who's who. It was stunts like this that got the attention for TransferWise, that they were going to bring death to hidden fees, RIP hidden fees. And from the outside, I thought this was cool. I'd worked in payments for a long time, and no one else was doing this. No one else was trying to be transparent. Everybody else was trying to take what they could in a spread. Now, Earthport actually uses the similar local account model, which I'm going to explain. But at the time, TransferWise was just solving for consumers. So I didn't feel I could help at this point, so I continued to admire from afar. So this is how it works. There's a SWIFT, which way around am I? On the right is how correspondent banking works. And it's basically passing messages from one bank to the next until the recipient finally gets it 2 to 5 days later. The fees are unknown until the money arrives and could be deducted at any point in the chain. And it's just not predictable in any way. On the other side is how TransferWise does it. So this is a local account model. This means that the money doesn't actually cross borders, and that's the secret to TransferWise. There's a local transfer in the US in this example. We convert it at mid-market, and then we pay out in Thailand using different money. Now, ideas are ideas, but I want to share with you today that this is working. we've got 6 million customers now, and they're people and businesses all around the world that are using TransferWise and getting the real exchange rate. And 75% of our growth is word of mouth. That means people are telling their mates about us, or businesses telling colleagues about us that they should check us out. So we're moving now $5 billion a month in total. So this is getting quite serious. It's getting to be a thing, and we think that we've proven transparency can work. We're 1,800 people. That's in 12 global offices. And on the last count that I saw, we were 71 nationalities. And that diversity and inclusion is a key part of how our teams work and how we interact with each other. Now, recruitment is a really, really important part because we don't want to lose our culture, and we have to onboard people quickly so that costs scale in line with the growth. So our recruiters deserve a lot of credit. Now, we have 5 pillars as an organization, and this is how TransferWise is able to have autonomous teams, because you have to be solving for one or more of the pillars in what you're doing. So price is the first one. This is our average price over mid-market, always over mid-market, for all customers globally for all currency routes. Now, if you take something like Brazil is about 2.5%, so that stretches it out, whereas sterling euro is about 0.3%. So 0.7 is where we land as an average. And this is our model. Since we've become profitable, we've consistently dropped price. Now, it's not always a nice straight line down to the bottom. Sometimes it's a little bit bumpy as some of the costs don't go as quickly as you want them to, but we've proven since we've been profitable that we drop price. And we believe that the more volume we get, our costs scale as long as we develop in the right way, which means we can drop price further and then continue to grow. Because the mission of the company is to eventually be free. Now, you might laugh. I don't know, can we ever get to be free? Is it possible to be free? I don't know. But when you're driving down costs to try and be free, it makes you look at the big picture all the time, and it makes you aim to be better, and you're never satisfied. Because each individual cost or each individual team that's in charge of something can keep improving it to bring it down, because we're nowhere near free at the moment. Now, a lower price isn't just what we're doing a transparent price. So this is, part of what we do is a lot of education, because a lot of people and businesses aren't used to this. They're not used to seeing this comparison against mid-market. And sometimes, as I'm going to show you, we actually look more expensive because of the way that we transparently share our prices. You see here, this is on our website. This is on the home page for anybody to access, whether you're a customer or not. Now, you can see the example to move euros into sterling, 1,000 euros. And we put our mid-market rate in the middle, the mid-market rate in the middle, and the total fee of $4.58. Now, you can see the next business down is saying they're free. Now, they're not free because they've put a spread in the exchange rate. And you can see the amount that's received on the other side is less than the amount that we send. So a lot of this is about education, and we try and push for regulation changes at government level so that transparency becomes a norm, and then consumers and businesses have a choice because they know what they could be spending. The third pillar is speed. So because we use the local account model, and we're effectively netting funds from one account to another, we can do this instantly. Now we've fixed the tech up. So instant means you can start a payment and the recipient receives it in their bank account in less than 20 seconds. And 25% of all the millions of payments that we send every month are now instant, which is pretty wild. When we started, the standard in the industry was 2 to 5 days. I like putting a tweet up. This tweet saying that 9 seconds was a bit slow for us that day. Now, anybody can move money, I guess, without all the checks and controls. So we've built a machine learning engine that does our sanctions checks. It does the PEP, it does the fraud, it does the AML. So all of this can happen in real time. And obviously, if there's a false positive, if there's something to investigate, then that speed slows down. But this is when things are checked and verified and go through, then it can go through instantly. Coverage is the next pillar. Now, coverage works, we think about it in two ways. It's where TransferWise is available, so which country we're available in, but also which currencies we can operate in or we can offer. So the graph on the left, I keep losing track, shows that 80% of the world's population, we have their currency as a to currency. So that means we can put money into that country. We have less on the from side, about 20%, and then our card, our debit card, is less again. But you can see that we're trying to solve it so that we're available to everybody, everywhere. So this is how we roll out currencies. It's easier to put money into a country than it is to take it out. It's easier in terms of the regulations and the things that you need to build. So we generally open a currency by putting money into the country. So this is what we call a to currency, and we're, I don't know, give or take 50 or so now. Once we've built up some volume, we go through the licensing and the regulation in order to make it a two-way currency or additionally a from currency. We've got 12 local licenses now around the world, and we've got 48 US state licenses, and it's a whole lot of paperwork and auditing every year that thankfully I don't get involved in, but it's a really important part of what we do. Once we have this, we offer account details. So maybe there's 6 or 7 currencies right now that we can offer account details in, but this means we can give unique account details in multiple currencies to customers, and right now that's free. And this is actually the reason that swung me to know that TransferWise was who I wanted to work for. I was living in the States, and I had a visa, I had a job, I had somewhere to live, and I couldn't open a bank account. They just wouldn't let me have one. I got stuck in this trap where I didn't have this document, and then I didn't have that document, and I ended up having dollars on an island off England and being the weird English guy that couldn't pay the bill in the same way that everybody else paid the bill. And I moved back to London, not for that reason, and I met someone from TransferWise, and they told me about their new product. And the new product was these account details. And that's when I knew I wanted to work for TransferWise, because it's one thing having one product that's solving a problem. It's another thing to keep trying to solve problems and not just try and be revenue generating. And he thankfully got me an interview, and then 3 months later, I started at TransferWise. In the UK, we have a direct integration with the Bank of England. We were the first non-FI to get this status, and what that means is there is no partner bank. It means the Bank of England is TransferWise's account, and we have a sort code that is a TransferWise sort code. This means it's as cheap and as fast as it possibly could be. We're rolling this out in Europe as SEPA Instant becomes available in different banks and different countries, and the intention is that we will keep rolling this out where our scale dictates. So we get faster and cheaper. Now, the fifth pillar is my favorite pillar. This is convenience. And convenience means different things to different people. In Singapore, for example, you had to verify your ID in person. So we had to employ people to sit there in an office all day, and customers had to come in with their ID, and it had to be manually checked in person. Well, it's not very convenient, is it? So we petitioned the regulator to change the law so that you could verify digitally online, and we got it. And now it's the same for everybody in Singapore. Now, I work on the business team, so convenience to a business is being available where the business is, rather than having them come to TransferWise and log in to TransferWise or use the app. We look to plug in our API into things. So seamless link, TransferWise for infrastructure. So this is what we do. We have two groups. One group works on bank partnerships. So I should have used N26 really, because it's probably more relevant, but N26 or Monzo are challenger banks. and they've built apps where you can hold money, where you can make domestic payments, where you can do all of the other banking services that they offer, but you couldn't do international payments. Now, rather than build what has taken us 9 years to build, they partnered with us. So we work with them, and our API is in the Monzo app, just like it's in the N26 app, and they both believe in transparency, and they both believe in being clear on pricing. So it's our services, but from the convenience of the bank app. And we have a team that's solving for global bank partners all around the world. Now, I'm grateful that this talk is this week rather than 2 weeks ago, because 2 projects that we've been working on for a year now have both launched in the last 2 weeks, which means I can talk about them. So the first one is GoCardless. GoCardless is one of those weird fintechs where the name is actually what it is. So they facilitate subscription payments without the need to use a card. If you use a card, you have error rates, and if you change the card, your subscription breaks and all these things. So GoCardless have built a network around the world where they use direct debits to pull the funds from the account, and then they settle it with the merchant. So I pay my gym membership through GoCardless, which is a happy coincidence. Now, we've been working with them for a year to put TransferWise FX and payment services into the back office of GoCardless so that they can offer their services globally. So previously, they could only collect for merchants in the country because they couldn't do the cross-border bit. Now, and it's live tomorrow, I'm told, you can collect globally in all of their markets. They convert it on their platform using the real exchange rate and using the TransferWise rails underneath, and then they get it back as a treasury payment, and then the business only has to hold one account. So it's convenient for the business because they don't need to have loads of currency accounts, and it's good for GoCardless because it now means their product can become more global, where they got blocked before. And we share the same values with them. They're really, really good people to work with. And they're clear on transparent pricing and improving the service rather than just making the same service but making it a bit quicker. Now, this is going to be a picture of a stage on a stage, but this was last week. So we were at XeroCon. XeroCon is billed as the Glastonbury Festival for accountants, and I'm not sure why, because accountants aren't banned from Glastonbury to my knowledge, but it's good. Like, we have a stand there, we're part of the Xero ecosystem, and you can take your TransferWise statement and you can reconcile it in Xero, which is a big thing for small business. Now, we've been working with them for a long time as well to put the TransferWise API in the Xero platform to make it more convenient for businesses to pay their bills. So currently, you get your bills to pay and you have to download a file and then you have to upload that file into a bank, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work, but then you're still waiting for where those payments are, you don't know where they are, and then when they arrive, your bills are paid, maybe there's deductions from them. So what we've done, we've partnered with Xero so that we can allow the business to make payments from Xero without having to log into their bank. So they'll onboard with TransferWise, they'll link their account with OAuth, and then they can pay their bills through our network directly from Xero, and then we'll push status changes and everything back into the Xero platform, so you never have to leave Experience, which is pretty convenient. Now, sorry if this makes you feel a bit sick. The intention here is that we're way from being finished here. We want to be available to everyone, every business, everywhere. And the ambition is by 2030, which sounds pretty futuristic, we will be. We'll be connected to as many global markets, if not all global markets, that are possible. Because to put the big number that I started with in context, there's $200 billion are taken in hidden fees by banks every year. That's wild. So what we're aiming for here is that our customers, whether they're consumers or whether they're businesses, will get the same financial services that they need to a better standard, and they'll have $200 billion more to spend on other things, which will be nice. And this is our mission. Money without borders, instant, convenient, transparent, and eventually free. So we're not solving world peace, and we're not going to eradicate hunger, not yet. But we're trying to get people and businesses an honest service and more money in their pocket. Tech is making the world smaller, and the work-life balance is becoming international, and we want to make money borderless. Oh, that's me. So thank you for having me. Thank you for not being at the free bar. And yeah, I'm sticking around if anyone wants to hang out later. Thank you.